What if laziness isn't a flaw, but a feature of how your brain works? New neuroscience reveals that what we call laziness might actually be a sophisticated survival mechanism coded into your brain. In this video, we'll unpack the real science behind motivation, energy, and why you procrastinate even when you know better. Stick around, because by the end, you'll learn not only how to overcome it, but how to rewire your brain for focused action. And we've got a surprising bonus insight you won't want to miss. Laziness, flaw, OR function. We've all been there. You've got a to-do list a mile long. Deadlines are creeping in. You know what needs to be done? And yet, you do nothing. Maybe you scroll. Maybe you nap. Maybe you convince yourself you'll start tomorrow. Sound familiar? For decades, we've labeled this as laziness, a character flaw, a lack of willpower. But what if we've been wrong? Recent neuroscience is painting a radically different picture. Laziness isn't about being weak, it's about how your brain calculates energy, risk, and reward. Let's decode what's really going on in your head when you don't feel like it. Chapter 1. How your brain calculates effort. Laziness isn't the absence of motivation, it's your brain redirecting motivation. The human brain has evolved to be energy efficient because for thousands of years, burning too much energy could mean death, starvation, vulnerability. So the brain developed a cost-benefit calculator. It weighs effort against reward. If the reward seems uncertain, too far in the future, or emotionally bland, your brain hits the brakes. This isn't a bug. It's evolution's way of protecting your energy reserves. In fact, a 2023 study from the University of Geneva showed that when participants anticipated high-effort tasks without immediate reward, the anterior cingulate cortex downregulated motor initiation. The brain literally suppresses action if the effort doesn't seem worth it. This is laziness, not as failure, but as filtering. Chapter 2. The dopamine decision engine. You've heard it described as the pleasure molecule, but that's outdated. Dopamine is more about motivation than reward. It's your brain's prediction engine. It estimates how good something might feel and how likely you are to get that reward. The more certain and immediate the payoff, the more dopamine, the more vague or delayed the reward, the more the brain hesitates. A 2022 study from Harvard Medical School used PET scans to show that individuals who procrastinate or struggle with task initiation had reduced dopamine binding in the dorsal striatum, an area linked to effort-based decision. This means laziness is sometimes a matter of chemistry, not character, but you're not stuck with it, and we'll get to how to hack it in a few minutes. Chapter 3. Laziness and mental overload. Another misunderstood culprit, cognitive fatigue. Modern life bombards us with choices, stimuli, and micro-decisions. This drains the prefrontal cortex, your brain's CEO for planning and willpower. When this area is fatigued, it defaults to easier tasks or no task at all. In a 2023 paper from the University of Oxford, researchers found that mental fatigue activates the default mode network, a brain system associated with mind-wandering and introspection, making it harder to initiate goal-directed behavior. So sometimes, your laziness is just mental exhaustion in disguise. The solution? Restore cognitive bandwidth. Simplify. Reduce decision load. We'll talk tactics soon. Chapter 4. The lazy loop. How habits reinforce inaction. Here's where it gets sticky. Every time you avoid a task, your brain gets a tiny reward. Relief, comfort, dopamine. That relief reinforces the avoidance loop. And soon, laziness becomes the path of least resistance. It's not conscious, it's the brain is always rewiring itself based on repetition. So if your default is scroll instead of work, that behavior gets automated. To change it, you don't need more willpower. You need pattern disruption. Create friction around bad habits. Make activation easier for good ones. Example, leave your phone in another room, or prep your workspace the night before. These tiny tweaks reshape behavior at the neural level. Chapter 5. Social media and the motivation deficit. Let's talk about tech. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram are designed to hijack your reward system. Instant novelty, predictable dopamine spikes. Your brain adapts. It starts craving only high reward, low effort. Suddenly, writing an essay, doing taxes, or folding laundry feels unbearable because the dopamine contrast is too steep. This isn't just opinion, It's backed by neuroscience. A 2024 study from Stanford tracked over 600 students and found that frequent social media users showed reduced activity in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. During delayed reward tasks, that means their brains were less excited by long-term goals. The fix: dopamine, fasting. Temporarily remove hyperstimulating inputs so the brain can recalibrate. More on that in the action plan. Chapter 6. Laziness vs. Depression. The hidden difference. Not all inaction is laziness. Sometimes it's depressing wearing a mask. Low energy, low motivation, a sense of heaviness. If your laziness comes with sadness, hopelessness, or apathy, you're not lazy. You're struggling, and there's no shame in that. In fact, researchers from Johns Hopkins in 2023 found that depressed individuals often had reduced functional connectivity between the nucleus accumbens, the brain's reward center, and the prefrontal cortex. So when depressed, it's not that people don't care. It's that their brain physically struggles to convert goals into action. The takeaway? Know the difference. Be kind to yourself and seek support when needed. Chapter 7. The willpower fallacy. We've been sold the idea that motivation is all about grit, hustle, push harder. But neuroscience disagrees. Motivation isn't summoned. It's cultivated through environment, habits, and expectations. A 2022 MIT study found that the expectation of success increased motivation even before a task began. Meaning, if you believe something will work, your brain is more likely to initiate the effort. This is why tiny wins matter. They reinforce belief. They trigger momentum. So don't wait to feel motivated. Start small. Let motivation catch up. Chapter 8. Micro-actions and neural momentum. One of the best hacks. Start with what's called a micro-action. Open the laptop. Write the first sentence. Put on your shoes. These tiny initiations break inertia. They create neural forward momentum. Why? Because once action begins, the motor cortex and basal ganglia activate, generating a feedback loop that sustains the behavior. You're literally kickstarting the action system in your brain. Forget massive goals, just do the next 60 seconds. Then repeat. Chapter 9. The reframe. You're not lazy, you're wired for efficiency. Here's the big reveal. Laziness isn't laziness. It's energy conservation, cognitive overload, dopamine mismatch, environment-driven loops, emotional resistance. In short, it's neurobiology doing its job. But that doesn't mean you're stuck. The same brain that resists effort can learn to love it. Let's rewire. Bonus point, laziness isn't always good. Here's the twist. Being always on isn't better. Some people suppress rest, constantly chasing productivity. But this can backfire too. Chronic overwork leads to burnout, anxiety, and reduced creativity. In 2023, researchers at the University of Melbourne discovered that excessive goal pursuit suppresses the brain's default mode network, reducing insight and long-term planning. So balance isn't laziness. It's wisdom. The goal isn't constant productivity. It's aligned action. Action plan. Beat laziness in 7 days. Day 1. Identify energy drains. List your top 3 lazy triggers. Social media. Mental fatigue. Fear of failure. Day 2. Remove friction for good habits. Lay out your tools. Prep your space. Make the first step stupid easy. Day 3. Dopamine detox light. Avoid hyperstimulating apps for 12 hours. Let your brain recalibrate. Day 4. Use the 2-minute rule. Start any task for just 2 minutes. Momentum will often carry you. Day 5. Schedule boredom. Allow 20 minutes of idle time. No screens. Let your brain reset. Day 6. Practice task chunking. Break down your biggest task into 3 Do the easiest first. Day 7. Reflect and rewire. Write down what worked, what didn't, and how you felt. Track wins. Repeat weekly. This isn't a hack, it's a system. So, is laziness real? Yes, but not in the way you think. It's not a defect. It's a default. Your brain trying to help, just with outdated rules. But you're not stuck with those rules. By understanding the neurobiology behind effort, dopamine, energy, and emotion, you can take back control. Reframe lazy as a signal. Respond with strategy. Build momentum, one tiny action at a time. Like what you learned today? Hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more science-backed tools to rewire your brain. Your brain isn't lazy. It's efficient. Learn the language it speaks and it'll work for you, not against you. Now go take that first step. Your brain is waiting.